The children were missing. Colony 17 was silent. Too silent for a place where children once laughed every morning. The skies were clear, the wind soft. But something was wrong. The playground swings moved slightly in the breeze, but there were no children to ride them. The sandboxes were untouched, the slides cold and still. It was the kind of silence that made people feel cold inside. Even under a warm sun, Commander Jor'vak of the Xelari Empire arrived just as he always did. Every month, without fail, he visited the human outpost. It was part of a peace agreement signed decades ago. The humans were rebuilding after war, and the Xelari had promised protection. Jor'vak didn't just honor the treaty, he believed in it. He wasn't like most Xelari. He had seen the worst of war, and he had chosen to stay on Earth to help. The humans trusted him, especially the children. They called him Uncle Jor, laughed at his armor, and loved his deep, echoing voice. He brought them treats made from told them stories from the stars. In return, they drew him pictures and ran to him with sticky hands and wide smiles. But today, when his ship landed, no one ran to greet him. Not a single child came to the landing pad. Not even little Raya, who always waited with a flower in her hand. His guards noticed it too. They scanned the area. But there was no sign of the usual activity. Jor'vak walked through the settlement with slow, heavy steps. He looked at the empty swings, the scattered toys, the locked classroom doors. Something wasn't right. His instincts sharpened, his senses alert. He moved to the human command center, where a pair of officers stood stiffly, waiting. He didn't smile as he entered. "Where are the children?" he asked without greeting. The younger officer shifted nervously. The older one stepped forward and answered, "They've been relocated." Commander Jor'vak paused. His orange eyes narrowed slowly. "Relocated," he repeated, voice flat. "To where?" The officer cleared his throat. "To a secure holding facility off-world," he said. There were concerns. "What kind of concerns?" Jor'vak asked, his voice still calm but colder now. "Some of the children were born without documentation," the officer replied. "Some may be here illegally. So, you imprison them," Jor'vak said. It wasn't a question. The room felt suddenly small. His large frame filled the space like a storm cloud. "They're not prisoners," the officer said quickly. "It's temporary, we're just following standard procedure." Jor'vak stepped closer. His armor clicked softly as he moved. His voice dropped to a growl. "They are children," he said. "They trusted you. It wasn't our decision alone," the officer said. "Earth Command approved the relocation." "Did Earth Command ask me?" Jor'vak asked. "Did they ask the children's parents, or the children themselves?" There was no answer. The younger officer looked away. Jor'vak's fists tightened, his jaw clenched. "These children were under my protection," he said. "I gave my word to their families. We didn't mean to offend the treaty," the officer said. "We had to act fast. You acted like cowards," Jor'vak snapped. "You locked up the innocent to feel safe. Is that what humans are now?" A low growl rose from his chest. His guards stepped forward, alert but calm. They knew their commander. They knew this tone. It meant fury held just barely beneath control. "You forget what I've done for your people," he continued. "I've bled beside your soldiers. I've defended your homes, and now, you treat your own young like enemies." "We're fixing it," the officer said weakly. "They'll be released soon." "Soon is not now," Jor'vak said. "Soon is not comfort to a crying child in a metal cage." The lights in the room flickered. Something in the air shifted. Every human in the room felt it. The weight of an ancient warrior's fury. The slow rising storm of a protector betrayed. Jor'vak turned away from the officers. His cape dragged against the metal floor. "Where are they?" he asked one last time. "Tell me the name of the facility." The officer hesitated, then nodded slowly. He gave the name and coordinates. Jor'vak didn't respond. He only walked toward the exit. His guards followed in silence, and as the door hissed shut behind him, one of the officers whispered, "What's he going to do?" The answer came from the youngest recruit in the room. "He's going to bring them back," he said, "even if it means tearing the sky apart." The sky would burn. Jor'vak's ship sliced through the clouds like a blade. His eyes were fixed on the star map glowing in front of him. The coordinates burned red on the screen. A distant orbital station named Vector 12. Officially, it was listed as a detention and processing facility. But Jor'vak knew what that really meant. A prison, cold and hidden, where humans know one wanted to see were kept away from the public eye. His hands gripped the control panels tightly. The soft hum of the engines echoed like a heartbeat. The children trusted him, they called him family, and now they sat in cages, scared and alone. While the people who locked them away gave excuses behind closed doors. Jor'vak didn't wait for clearance. He didn't send a message ahead. He didn't follow protocol. Because this was no longer diplomacy. This was justice, and justice does not wait. Vekert appeared through the cockpit window. A gray metal ring floating above a dead moon. Lifeless, cold, and surrounded by automated defense turrets. His ship approached fast. Warnings flashed on his screen. Restricted zone. Turn back. Do not engage. He ignored them all. The station's voice came through the speakers. This is Vekert command. Identify yourself or we will open fire. Jor'vak leaned forward and replied. This is Commander Jor'vak of the Xelari Honor Guard. I am here for the human children you are holding. There was a long pause. Then a second voice replied. We are holding them under authority of Earth Command, Section 14, Suborder 6. You do not have jurisdiction. I have something greater than jurisdiction, Jor'vak said. I have a promise. Then he cut the channel. He didn't want to argue. He was done speaking. The station's weapons activated. Missiles locked onto his ship. But Jor'vak had fought wars far worse than this. He dived, twisted, and rolled through the defense fire. His ship struck the docking ring hard. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. But he made it. The moment the hatch opened, Jor'vak leaped out. His guards followed. Weapons drawn but lowered. Inside, station security scrambled to respond. But they were not prepared for a Xelari war leader. He moved through the halls like a storm. His eyes scanning every corner. Doors opened in front of him. Soldiers backed away. He didn't even need to speak. His presence alone was enough. At last, he reached the lower cell block. Cold steel, dim lights, rows of locked cells, and inside children. Small, quiet, wide-eyed, some cried when they saw him. Others stood and ran to the bars. Uncle Jor, one of them called softly. It's cold in here. Jor'vak stepped forward. He looked at the security warden and said just 2 words. Open it. The warden hesitated. Sir, I have orders. Jor'vak took 1 step closer. Open it, he repeated. The guard's hands shook as he typed the code. One by one, the cells clicked open. The children ran to him. He knelt, holding 2 in his arms. He could feel their tiny hands clutching his armor. Some of them hadn't eaten. Some had bruises from tight restraints. His jaw clenched. You are safe now, he said. I'm taking you home. But the warden stepped forward again. You're making a mistake, Commander. This will bring political problems. Earth Command will not accept this action. Jor'vak stood slowly. His voice rumbled like thunder. Let them come. I will meet them with the same fire I bring to enemies. They want war over children. Then, let the sky burn. He turned to the children. All of you, follow me. They obeyed without fear, because in that moment, he was not just a warrior, he was their shield. Together, they walked out, past the guards who didn't dare lift their weapons, past the officers who lowered their eyes. Jor'vak didn't look back. He had done what he came to do. But deep in his chest, he knew this wasn't over. Earth Command would respond, and when they did, they would discover what it meant to make an alien rage boil. Not for power, not for land, but for something far more dangerous, the love of a protector for innocent lives. The consequence: the children slept peacefully in the ship's back chamber, soft blankets wrapped around them, warm lights above their heads. Jor'vak stood outside the door, silent, his massive hands clenched behind his back. He had gotten them out, but the war was coming. As expected, the call from Earth Command came before they even reached orbit. It wasn't a request. It was an order. Commander Jor'vak, you have interfered with classified operations. Return the detained children immediately or face consequences. Jor'vak said nothing at first. He stared at the comm screen. Behind him, the hum of the engines filled the room. He took a deep breath, then spoke. These are not prisoners, he said. They are children. You had no authorization. The voice snapped. You violated planetary agreements. You broke our laws. Then your laws are broken. Jor'vak said, and I will not follow them. A second voice joined the call. Admiral Kesserin, the Earth Fleet's top officer. She looked tired, frustrated, but not angry. Commander, do you understand what you've done? She asked. You've triggered a diplomatic breach between Earth and the Xelari. I understand exactly what I've done, Jor'vak replied. I kept my promise. I protected the innocent. Kesserin sighed. And now we have a crisis. You are a respected figure, but even you must answer for this. Jor'vak nodded slowly. I will answer, he said. But not with apologies. If Earth wishes to punish me for saving children, Then let the stars bear witness. She leaned forward slightly. You are forcing our hand, then use it wisely, Jor'vak said. Because I do not stand alone, and he didn't. As his ship returned to the outpost, the people were already waiting. Not soldiers, not diplomats, families, mothers and fathers, neighbors and workers. All of them stood together as Jor'vak stepped off the ship. Behind him, the children emerged, one by one. Tears in their eyes, smiles blooming as they ran into the arms of their families. The crowd roared not in anger, but in relief. They had thought their children were gone, lost to cold policy and silence, but now they were back. The outpost leader stepped forward. Commander, you've violated interplanetary rules, he said quietly. Jor'vak stared into his eyes, and I would do it again. The man didn't argue. He only nodded once and stepped aside, because the crowd had already decided. They stood between Jor'vak and the arriving enforcement team. Hundreds of civilians, unarmed, protecting the one who had protected their children. The Earth officers hesitated. They had ships, they had orders, but they didn't have the people. And without the people, they had nothing. Admiral Kestrin arrived in person. She walked through the crowd slowly, her officers flanking her. She approached Jor'vak and studied him for a long moment. You caused a storm, she said. I warned you there would be consequences. I accept them, he said, but I will never regret it. To his surprise, she nodded. I don't want a war, she said, not with your people, and certainly not with someone who's become a hero to ours. So what will you do? He asked. She looked at the children, then at the crowd, then at him. We'll rewrite the rules, she said. We'll make sure this never happens again. And just like that, the fire died down, not with weapons, but with truth, with a single act of courage that changed everything. Jor'vak didn't smile, but he bowed his head. Then let the new rules protect better than the old ones, he said. He turned back to the children. They followed him again, not because they were told to, but because they believed in him. He wasn't just an alien warrior anymore. He was a symbol of what happens when someone strong uses their power to protect the weak, and of what it means to care not just for your own kind, but for all children, everywhere. And from that day forward, one phrase echoed across colonies and stars, a warning, a promise, and a legend. You detained human children. Are you insane?